Hello everybody, welcome to the United Stands. I'm Mark Goldbridge. It's match day, but we have got a packed show for you. Paul Scholes saying we should sign Romero from Spurs. I'd rather sign Romeo from Romeo and Juliet, and he's dead. No, thank you. I don't know what Paul Scholes is on about there. Nicky Butt saying that Man United could win the league next season. We'll get into that a lot later because we've got updates in relation to Baleba, Tonali, a left back. What else? The midfield situation. Somebody sent me a very interesting message about that. A little bit on Rashford. But we're going to start off about Yan Diomonde. Now, remember, over the last sort of 18 months, really, we've had some really good information coming in around transfers for United. It goes all the way back to Onana in the March international break last year. We broke that he was going to be leaving United, that Amrim and the board wanted rid of him. Lo and behold, that did happen. There was the Delap story. There was stuff around trying to think. We didn't get Cunha and Mbeumo. I'm not going to say that we got that, but the attacking stuff was very good as well. So yeah, we've had some good stuff around United. And at the weekend, we were talking about how United are looking at Tonali, and lo and behold, that's come out from Romano. It's come out from the Telegraph. So this one this morning is quite interesting. So the deal that United are closest to doing is Yan Diomonde at Leipzig. Now this is there's bits to this, but effectively, Man United want Diomonde from Leipzig. That's been rumoured for a few weeks. Ben Jacobs has spoken about it. Other people have spoken about it. So it's not breaking news that Yan Diomonde is a player that United like. But this is probably the most... What I was told is that this is the deal that Man United are most likely to do at the moment. It's the one deal that they can work on at the moment. With other deals, whether it's Anderson, Tonali, Baleba, they've got to wait. There's going to be protracted conversations. But with Diomonde, they don't need to wait for the manager. Basically, with other players, they might have to wait for the manager, whether that's the new manager or they give it to Carrick or whatever. And Michael Carrick's not in a position at the moment to demand anything. He can't walk into the room and say, get me Tonali. He's got no power at all. Like, he's an interim coach who they really appreciate, but he's got no say on transfers in the summer because it's not his job. So this is a signing that Manchester United can go and do now based on if Wilcox, Barada, Sir Jim Radcliffe and Favell agree that Diomonde is a player they should go for regardless of the manager, they can get working on it. Now, Yan Diomonde, Man United need a winger. He's at Leipzig, he's right-footed, he plays off the left, he can play off the right, but he is right-footed, so it fits in with the whole left side inverting like Ahmad does off the right-hand side. Funnily enough, he actually plays for Ivory Coast, so there's a good relationship with Ahmad there, which may be useful in our conversations. But key to this deal again is RB Leipzig and Favell. Favell pushed for Sesko, very good relationships in the RB group. He wanted Sesko, he got his way on that one. He's pushing for Diomonde, and they know that there's going to be a lot of interest in him. He's only spent he's not even spent a season at Leipzig yet, but Manchester United see this player as perfect for what they're looking for because they've got Mbeumo, they've got Ahmad, they've got Dorgu, and if they've got Diomonde, they feel they're set for many years to come across both wide positions, and Diomonde is seen as the perfect player for them. But also the number one priority in a sense because they can work on that deal at the moment. Not the number one priority in the sense that we need a left winger more than a midfielder, but this is a deal they can work on now. They've got very good relations with the Leipzig group through Favell. Obviously, we bought Sesko in the summer. The price is a bit staggering because it's meant to be north of £80 million, but Manchester United are hoping they can work on that and get a deal done quite quickly for Diomonde. Now, I'm not saying it's going to be done before the end of the season, but these sort of deals can get done quite early and then be held up until June. So watch the space with Diomonde. It's looking like United are going to go hard on that one. There's been talk in the last couple of days about Liverpool, but Liverpool apparently aren't too sure about spending £80 million on what is effectively, I think he's still a teenager actually. I'm just having a quick look. Born in, he's 19. He's not 20 till November. So Liverpool do like Diomonde, but spending that amount of money on a player who's 19 to replace Salah, that's not what Liverpool are apparently looking to do. They know, and also he is right-footed, but plays off the left, inverting, whereas Salah is left-footed, playing off the right, inverting. So he's not a natural replacement for Salah. It would more be where Gakpo plays. But it's a lot of money for Liverpool to spend on a 19-year-old, whereas for Manchester United, they feel that it's a player that they can bring in and get working. I tell you what, I'm going to talk about this in a minute. The AI is getting out of hand. I saw a picture, I've just been sent it about the haircut guy, right? I saw a picture this morning. It was an aggregator on Twitter, posted a picture of Carrick and the haircut guy like that. I thought it was real. And then fair play to Andy Mitten. Underneath it, he said, this is a joke. You shouldn't be putting this out because everyone thinks it's real and it's AI. AI is getting out of control. You can't believe what you're looking at anymore. It's incredible. And also, I think it's wrong as well in that context because it makes it look like Michael Carrick's like really obsessed with this guy getting a haircut, which, as he said in his interview last night, you know, I'm aware of it, but it's not really the focus. But AI, I tell you what, if we're here already with the AI where you're looking at a picture and you think it's real, God knows where we're going to be in 6 months. It's crazy. Anyway, I digress. So watch out for Diomande. Manchester United all over this deal. Transfer talks beginning, we're thinking, but certainly he is a player that Manchester United are looking at, Favel wants, and they feel that they can get that deal done quite early. Only not even spent a year at Leipzig. I can't remember where he was before, but not even spent a year at Leipzig, and could be heading for £80 million. Look, what do I think about the deal? For me, this is a little bit like the Delap update that we had last from the same source, funnily, last April, when we said that Delap was the priority. It was Wilcox pushing that one. We didn't actually end up getting Delap, but it is quite similar actually when you think about it. So we had this story in early April last year that United were obsessed with Chelsea and they wanted Delap and this was the player they wanted, and Wilcox was key to the deal because he'd worked with them at Man City and they were really confident they were going to get it done, and it was their first signing of the summer. And all of it came true. We just didn't get him. I feel a little bit like it about Diomande, if I'm being honest. It's just Favel leading it, and probably is United's first deal, if we think about it, because it's the one that we can get done. And he fits with the profile of buying young players with talent. But I suppose that's the problem I have with it. I mean, how many more young players are we going to buy? I think United's a very difficult place to come and learn. Ahmad's done it, but he's had to go on loan to do it. Dorgu's battling against it. He had a bad first year in some people's eyes, but he's starting to come through. Yoro isn't getting anywhere near it, is he? I mean, this is year 2 for Yoro, and he's getting further and further away from the first team. So I'm not saying Yoro won't be a good player in the future, but it's not easy to break through at Manchester United. And I'm not so sure that going for another teenage attacker is the way to go for that sort of price. But look, this is the model. It doesn't surprise me that Favel and Wilcox are going down that route when they're being told to do it by Sir Jim. United want to accumulate young, exciting talent. And do I like this deal? Look, I've watched a bit of Leipzig because we've got the Bundesliga rights on That's Football. Personally, I prefer Nusa, and he's a little bit older. I think the obsession with Diomande is because it's a breakthrough season and he's doing really, really well. And his ceiling is really, really high. But I prefer Nusa at Leipzig. I always have. Some people are saying the name Endia. But look, we can only go with what we're told. And this particular source within the club is very, very good. And, you know, we can only say that's what a news show is. Well, I can give my opinion on it. It's a lot of money for a player that could become the next big thing. I mean, Liverpool are sniffing around. There are other clubs looking at him. So he's a very talented player. I'm probably more interested in the player that comes into the team who's 24, 25, 23, you know, maybe 22, who's ready to go. But look, this is interesting and will be very interesting to see how that develops over the next few days, weeks and months, because it's a deal that United can get to work on through good relationships with Leipzig. But as we saw with Sesko, the price... I can see the price being the stumbling block here. I'm pretty sure we could probably get this deal done quite quickly and have it lined up for the start of the summer before he even goes to the World Cup. He is in the World Cup, isn't he? Ahmad and Ivory Coast. I mean, I think I'm right. I think Ivory Coast are in the World Cup. I know Cameroon aren't, but I think they are. Anyway, it's something we could maybe get done before the World Cup because obviously we don't want to have a big list of players after the World Cup. But whether Leipzig are going to move on price, I don't know. So it'd be very interesting. Just in relation to that information as well, told that with a left back, it is a priority for Manchester United, but they've got absolutely no idea what they're going to do there. So big news update on Diomande. Obviously, we know about Tonali, but on the left back, they've got no names. They know it's an area that they need to look at, but they actually don't have any locked-in targets at the moment. So you could throw any name at United in relation to a left-back and you might be right because they don't have anybody. Now, I don't know whether that means that they're just going to go, well, let's go into next season with Luke Shaw and, I don't know, Mazraoui can play there. Or we're actually going, we haven't found anybody yet, but we will do in the summer. I mean, we could all give our top 5 left-backs, but apparently we're not looking. We are looking at the position, but there are no names sort of jumping out at the moment because, to be honest with you, I think the players we'd probably go for would cost quite a lot. Lewis Hall at Newcastle is going to cost quite a lot of money. So, you know, maybe that's it. Maybe it's a price thing. The Moose one says, top 6 is our trajectory. I still and was a believer. Losing, but with hope of overcoming, always defines with you. The ones who lose are the ones who don't try, says Moose one. Thank you very much for your super chat, Moose one. Thank you very much. Daniel Thompson says, hope you're well. Whilst the haircut is all fun and games, fair play to Frank. Give the lad a biscuit. Winning is most important. I believe we will. Diomande, a great talent, but we need to focus on midfield as well. Thank you, Daniel. Imagine Diomonde, Tonali and Anderson next summer, says Amit. Diomande, Tonali and Anderson. I'd like a left back as well. Any truth in the rumours about Kinteh from Troms? Oh, says Bero. I saw about this morning. Where did I see about that this morning? Manchester United and Chelsea are considering a summer move for 19-year-old Tromso centre-back Abubacarr Sedi Kinteh, with the club valuing him at around £4 million. That's from Simon Jones in the Daily Mail. Well, thank you very much for your super chat asking about it, Bearer. Can I just say, why am I bothered about Manchester United signing a 19-year-old from Tromso for £4 million that Chelsea want? I mean, I feel like going surprise, surprise, surprise. I mean, what do we do? Are we tapping Chelsea's phones or something? It's like every bloody teenage kid that we go for, it's Chelsea. And look, if he's £4 million, he ain't starting next season either, is he? So, I don't know. It doesn't fascinate me, if I'm being honest. I mean, look, I want Manchester United to be competing for the Premier League, consistently in the Champions League. At some point, you've got to buy players that can deliver that. We can't just keep buying players who are of low value with lots of potential. At some point, you've got to start buying players that are, ready to go. And I don't know about that. United better go in full throttle mode, says Amit. And Cunha, Mbeumo, Ahmad plus Bruno is close to what we had with Rashford, Rashford, Mashi and Greeny. I've never heard anyone called Martial Mashi, Big Z. When they were clicking and all scoring thoughts. Cunha, Mbeumo, Ahmad and Bruno is now close to what we had with Rashford, Mashi and Greenwood. That Mashi thing's really irritating me. Mashi? Whoever called Anthony Martial Mashi? Did I miss that one? Rashi, Mashi and Greeny. Oh, fucking hell. Sounds like a shit children's programme. No, they're nowhere near that 3 because that 3 scored over 50 Premier League goals in one season. I don't think Bruno, Mbeumo and Cunha are going to get anywhere near 50 Premier League goals. So I don't think they're at that level at all. It'd be nice to think they can replicate that level in future seasons. But no, they're not on the level of Martial, Greenwood and Rashford. That season was incredible. To get over 50 Premier League goals between them is incredible. Tromso already declined an 8 million offer on Kinteh, says Slazy. And Paul Thompson says, Shaw and Amas Leon next season. Glazonomics could be right about that, Paul Thompson. And should we take a look at Inter? A package deal for DiMarco and Bastoni would do wonders for our defence. Surely Serie A players are cheaper than Premier League players, says BRT. And we really know that our management is shit and they will not spend a lot, says Abdullah. From your experience, which 2 midfielders will they get? I have no experience on what they're going to get. I can't sit here and say anything about that. What I would say is, and it is a bit topical and it leads nicely into the next topic, obviously Romano has spoken about Tonali, so now everybody's getting excited, even though we did talk about it 24 hours before, but that's the way it works in this industry. You know, you need that verification from the top journalists. Even though we're talking about it on Sunday, like I say, I know that source and I know that we are looking at Tonali, so it's great when someone like Fabrizio is talking about it. There's two things about the Tonali story. One, he's high on the list, but there is a list, and it doesn't mean we're going to get him. Two, it doesn't mean Baleba's out. Like, I've seen some people saying Baleba is no longer a priority for Manchester United. That is not the case. Baleba is probably... Look, I said a couple of weeks ago, I'm 95% sure we'll sign Baleba. I would still say that now. Even with Tonali added to the list, I still think, scarily, Baleba is still the most likely signing. Because when you talk about Glazonomics, he'll be cheaper than Tonali and Anderson. And he will be easier to sign than Tonali and Anderson because Baleba wants to join Man United and he's not in the World Cup. So Baleba has not been removed from the list at all. I'd say he's still very much high up on the list in relation to Manchester United. So yeah, Tonali definitely on the list, exciting, but it doesn't mean Baleba's off the list. I agree with what we've been talking about the last couple of days. I don't think he should be on the list. I think Man United are foolish to keep a player on the list and keep telling everybody that they don't care how bad he plays because he's still a player they want to buy. I mean, part of scouting is how somebody performs. You can't just ignore performance on the pitch because you believe there's a good player there. I mean, it's very unfair on those players that are on the list that are performing really, really well at the moment. So, but no, Baleba's not off the list. He's still very high up on it. And Tonali's on that list as well. There was also something about Real Madrid. I forget where it came from, Tonali, but apparently Real Madrid are adding him to their list. Look, Real Madrid can't add everybody to their list. Apparently Anderson's on their list. Vitinha's on their list. Tonali's on their list. I think Wharton's on their list. Stiller's on their list. So, great. Real Madrid, looking at the players that we're looking at, is actually quite a positive. They can't sign all of them. So yeah, I don't mind that. Plus, it doesn't mean he's going to Real Madrid. But of course, what I would say is, if you do have Real Madrid in for someone like Tonali, and you're Newcastle, it's a bit like Spurs when they had like Bale and Modric. They would push them to Real Madrid because they didn't want them going to Premier League rivals. So if Real Madrid did move for Tonali, then I'm sure Newcastle would try and push him there as well. Glazers are from Judaism religion, and they got the club. Okay, we're not going to go down that road, Rochelle. Anthony Mashiel says Dea. Sure, Amaz, have done that one from Paul Thompson as well. And thank you very much. Okay, caught up on your super chats. Rashford. A few people didn't talk about Rashford. We spoke about Rashford at the end of the show last night, which shows you how high priority I think this story is. But again, some people have been mentioning Rashford, and Carrick doesn't really want him back. Look, there was a story a couple of weeks ago that Michael Carrick would like to bring Marcus Rashford back to Manchester United. Nobody of any credibility has denied that story. So on face value, maybe Carrick does want to bring Rashford back. I mean, for me, that would be a reason not to give Carrick the job, to be honest with you, because I just don't think we should be bringing Rashford back, and I don't think Rashford should want to come back. But we're not going to bring Marcus Rashford back because he's coming towards the end of his contract at Manchester United. I think he's 29 or 28 in October. He earns ridiculous money, and for Manchester United to bring him back, they're going to have to give him a new contract or watch his contract run down, which is a loss of money for them. So financially, they won't do it. And also, Michael Carrick, again, at this moment in time, has got zero say on signing players or keeping players. He is an interim coach who is doing a very good job, who's got no say on transfers, and the club are not going to listen to him on that anyway. So, look, Rashford coming back to Manchester United isn't impossible, But at this moment, it's certainly nothing that that we're looking at in a genuine sense. So no, nothing on that one at the moment. Done that on Baleba as well. Okay, at £60 million, we've got Kinteh. Should we pay 80 for Diomande? Says Monster. Look, I think I was just about to move on to the Romero story. I believe Manchester United need quantity this summer transfer window. I believe we need quality, but we also need quantity. There's no point buying Anderson and Diomande. Brilliant signings, but 2 players, I'd be like, oh my God. So no football fan of United can sit there and say, I just want quality. We do need quantity as well. And however we do that, it's going to be very interesting to see, because you could just spend nearly £160 million on Anderson and Diomande, but it doesn't even touch the sides of the problems we've got. So quantity is going to be really important, but then budget's going to be really important. If you have what Arsenal and Liverpool had last year, which is a budget of touching £500 million, then we're all right. We can buy 2 or 3 midfielders, a good left back, a good winger, and we'll be absolutely fine. Where that money comes from, I don't know. I mean, look, Liverpool won the league. Arsenal got to the Champions League semi-final. They were second in the league. They've been in the Champions League for the last 4 years. It's not just qualifying for the Champions League that gives you a £500 million transfer budget. It's everything else you've done in the previous years as well. So I don't know where we're pitching Man United's budget in the summer. I don't know. Some people are saying 100 million. Some people are saying 200 million. Some people are saying they might go north of 300 million. I think we need to go north of 300 million if we want to be competitive next season. I mean, look, this was quite interesting. This is what Nicky Butt was saying. He said, I said a few months ago that we're 5 or 6 years off winning the league because it's a plan you need to go through. But he said, but I sound like a bit of a dick now saying we can challenge next season, but I just can't see any of the other teams running away with it. We've spoken about Arsenal, Man City and Liverpool. There's no team there that you can guarantee are going to dominate the Premier League now. There's no team that look like they're going to dominate for the next 10 years. Arsenal don't scare me. They're a great team and have a great squad, but they don't put the fear into other teams like Man City did, or Arsenal and United back in the day. If you asked me this question 2 months ago, I'd have said no, but now it looks like we're going to get back in the Champions League. That means your target audience of players is a lot bigger, and you're going to get better quality players coming in. If they get back in the Champions League and get their recruitment right, I think United will have a chance, yes, to compete for the title next season. And that's an amazing turn of events from somebody that was saying it's a 5 or 6 year plan. But I think fundamentally, well, there's 2 questions there. Do you think Man United can challenge for the title next season? And secondly, do you think they'll have the summer transfer window that allows that? If we go and spend north of £300 million in the summer and retain Bruno Fernandes, then I think next season could be very, very interesting. If we do what the Glazers do and we do a halfway house, I think next season will be very challenging. I mean, I mentioned this last night. Nobody can sit here without saying I'm talking complete bullshit and say that we're going to challenge for the title next year. I don't see this team anywhere near challenging for the title. I think what's happened is that we are playing 1 game a week, we're ridiculously fresh, and most teams are knackered. And we've got an interim coach, and there's a buzz around the team, and it's the same as Ollie. It's not a coincidence that you hit February, March and April, or you hit December, January and February. You play against a lot of tired teams, and you bring a new manager in and everyone's excited and you can start to pick up results, and that's what we're doing. But we won't be able to do that next season when we're in the Champions League. We won't be able to do what we're doing now next season, week in, week out, with this squad. Nicky Butt's right. You need to add 5, 6, 7, 8 players. Now, that's not down to me. That's not down to Carrick. That's not down to the players. That's down to the board. If you spend £80 million on Diomande and you spend £80 million on Anderson, you still need, after a £160 million spend, you still need to go and get 2 more midfielders and a left back. So it's going to be ridiculously hard to say what next season's going to be. Personally, I think you could, on the one hand, you could say if we have a good summer transfer window, we could compete for the title. I mean, that sounds crazy to me, but you could say that. On the other hand, if we have a normal summer that we've had in the last couple of years with Ineos, we could be struggling to get top 5. Because people say that Ineos have done a good job. Well, they haven't. They actually haven't. They've bought some good players, but they haven't got a transfer window is judged on its entirety, not its individuality. Cunha and Burmo, really good signings, but they didn't buy a midfielder. Most people gave last summer transfer window a 5, below average, because we ignored the midfield. So if they were to have a summer like this summer, where they ignore key areas, we could struggle next year. We don't just need quality on the pitch, we also need it on the bench as well, says James. Lots of players are good, but if the players on the bench are all like Anana, don't bother. Exactly. I think I look at Newcastle, very good starting 11. Look at where they are in the league. Can't use a better example than Newcastle. Their starting 11 is really good. You go through that Newcastle side, midfield strong, 6 options up front, options at the back, decent goalkeeper. They're in the bottom half of the table. Why? Because their squad's not good enough to deal with the volume of games that they've been playing in the Carabao Cup and in the Premier League and in the Champions League. So you do need a squad. Top 6 all still have my bet, says the Moose one. Commercial and market value is always upwards, but the pitch effect is our outer domination, hence of this scenario. Moose one, I don't know what you are typing this morning, but trust me, it's making no sense to anybody. Like, you normally do type coherent stuff. Second one now, got no idea what planet you're on. Hi Mashi, says Christoph. I feel like we should look at Nusa. Maybe my Norwegian biased eyes, but Manny is incredible. His crosses and dribbling are class. I like Nusa. I mean, as I say, I'm not saying Diomonde's not going to be a better player, but I do like Nusa. For what it is, Carrick's doing great without complaint, says Amit. He's following the Moose route here this morning. So apologies, I can only read the super chats. Sam says, I heard Carrick is bringing Saxey back. Yeah, it's a weird one this morning. Big Z says, Mashi was a joke. With West Ham, we haven't talked about Nuno. We had tough games against Wolves when he was manager. West Ham will be organised, low block, and maybe get Traore to give Martinez and Shaw a problem. I forgot that Traore played for West Ham, actually. I tell you what, Big Z, that's the comment of the day. I definitely want to see Traore on the pitch with Martinez, because that's another red card waiting to happen, isn't it? Traore is absolutely rattled by Martinez, so that would be very interesting, definitely. Very interesting. Right, I want to talk about this. This one's an interesting story this morning as well. So let me just get this one. Here it is. So yeah, match day today. Not a big fan of Tuesdays actually, but match day, very much looking forward to it later. So bring that on. So this is quite funny in the context of what I've been saying all weekend. So Romero against Man United, he's a red. He got a red. Arguably one of our man of the matches, because it was quite a close game up until the red card. Definitely was a red card. Vile what he did, knew what he was doing. I've seen him do that loads of times. I think he probably should have more red cards than he's got, and he's got a lot of red cards. And I sort of said all weekend, if I was a Spurs fan, I'd I've had a brain blank there. If I was a Spurs fan, I would never want him to play for Spurs again. You can't have players on your in your team who, when they're playing with your shirt on, they see an opportunity to injure a player and they take it over what's better for their team and their fans. And he's done that numerous times. So I don't care how good Romero is. I wouldn't want him to play for Spurs again if I was a Spurs fan, and I wouldn't want him anywhere near any of my clubs. However, this is what Paul Scholes said, and this is what democracy is. He said about Romero, do you know what? I love him. I love watching him play football. He's pissed off at Spurs. He doesn't want to be there. He's having a go at the crowd. He's having a go at the board. I think his head checked out a little bit, but I would love him at Manchester United. I just love his character. So what do you think about what Scholes says there about Romero to Manchester United? as I said, I'd rather go for Romeo. Well, I'd rather have Romeo Beckham at the back, but I'd rather have the dead Romeo from Romeo and Juliet. I mean, absolutely no. I just... There are shithouses out there. I was having this conversation. I mean, get in the comments. I was having this conversation at the weekend because one of the dads for Seb's team was saying he couldn't stand Bruno. And I said, well, I sort of get that because every club has a player that you just can't stand, but actually that fan base love them. And, you know, I understand why people might dislike Bruno. I mean, it's like Cucurella at Chelsea. Everybody dislikes him, but he's a bloody good player. It's like Rudiger at Real Madrid. Everyone dislikes him, but he's a bloody good player. Everyone's got a bit of a shithouse. But Romero's not a shithouse that everyone doesn't like because he's a good player and they secretly wish he was at their club. Romero is a liability. I would not want him in a Man United shirt. You know what? If we had Romero at Man United, every watch-along for 90 minutes, I would just be on edge thinking, if a 50-50 comes up, he's absolutely going to be trying to hurt that player. And then he's off. And the stupid thing about Romero is, all the referees, I mean, I'm no big fan of the referees, but Michael Oliver got it spot on because he knew what Romero was doing because that's who Romero is. So I wouldn't want him anywhere near Man United. It would be, I'd need to take blood pressure tablets every match day because every time there was a tackle that's 50-50, you know he's going to raise his studs and go in over the top of the ball. And then you're down to 10 men. I wouldn't go anywhere near him. But maybe one bad tackler to another respects it because Scholes, people say Paul Scholes was a bad tackler. I think Paul Scholes knew exactly what he was doing a lot of the time. And got away with it because of he couldn't tackle. But I wouldn't go anywhere near Romero at Manchester United at all. Patrick Lynch says Scholes loves Romero but dislikes Martinez, who actually plays for us. Is better on the ball but plays with similar aggression. This is just another dig at Martinez for me. Oh, Patrick is the voice of reason sometimes, and has he? Well, I suppose you make an interesting point because I would take Martinez over Romero every day of the week, and you're right. Martinez is aggressive, but not in the way where he tries to hurt people. I mean, I have seen Martinez do that tackle I don't like. You know, where the one where you jump in. He has got it in him, but Romero's he's selfish. Romero is selfish, right? I've played with these players. They don't care about the shirts. They don't care about the fans. If there's an opportunity, it's like Roy Keane on Haaland, but Romero does it all the time. So you know what Roy Keane did to Haaland's dad. That was 100% personal. That was 100% an opportunity to get somebody that he had an issue with. Very unlike Roy Keane, but it was a one-off. It was a unique circumstance. Romero does it all the bloody time. You can't have a player like that. Sounds like Romero equals Rojo. Love Scholes, but no, says Sam. And Desiree says two CDMs, two centre midfielders, one right back, one left winger, one striker, one centre back. Sounds like a fish and chip order. And we can win the Premier League, says Desiree. Yeah, I think in relation to the Premier League, you're probably right that we need a hell of a lot more. I don't think Man United are going to get anywhere near a Premier League next season. I mean, look, we could finish second. We finished second with Ollie. We finished second with Jose, but we were nowhere. You can finish second and you're not in a title race. Finishing second doesn't mean you're in a title race. So maybe that's what he means. But I don't think we can be in a title race. Not with this ownership. Yeah. It's funny. Casemiro used to be our Romero, says Till. I don't think Casemiro's ever been that. I think Casemiro picks up yellow cards, but I don't think he goes into tackles looking to, put one on. Do you reckon Martinez will take revenge for Cucurella, says Amit? And Nico Paz, get ready for the end of Fernandez. Age is scary. Salah, says Junkyard. Some weird comments this morning. I can't, on a morning show, my brain can't work on bullet points. So write your sentence out and we'll all understand it a lot better. I would argue that we need a strike. And what I mean is, Junkyard, you've gone, Nico Paz, get ready for the end of Fernandez. Age is scary. Salah, ... I mean, I don't get the Salah bit. It's like bullet points for your bloody Tesco shop. It will make sense to you, but it doesn't make sense to us. I would argue that we need a striker, says Sam Brock's Guitar. Mbeumo and Sesko is fine, but if we get Champions League, it'll be a test of squad depth. Traditionally, we had 3 at least in a 4-3-3. Well, funnily enough, I think the dynamics of... I was reading an article about Man Utd today, and I've got an interesting thing to talk about Casemiro and Ugarte that I got sent by somebody, which is really good. But I was reading this article about Man Utd today from James Ducker saying how it's incredible that Amrim didn't pick him and Carrick's picked him straight away, and he could have been going to Napoli and all this. Right, we know that story. But what they don't write is that, and I was, you can go back and watch the videos, I couldn't understand why Amrim didn't give Mainoo more game time. The only thing that Amrim said that I sort of agreed with was that people should stick around and fight rather than leave. And I think that was more of a dig at Garnacho and others than Mainoo. But he was right about that. I mean, I do think no matter what people say about Ruben Amorim, he's the only manager that's actually started to clear some of the shit out of the club in relation to dressing room and culture. And he probably is the best manager since Sir Alex to do that. Unfortunately, he made some big mistakes on the pitch, and Mainoo, in my opinion, was one of those. However, he was playing with two midfielders. So when people say he should have given Mainoo more game time, are you saying he should have dropped Bruno or Casemiro? Because he only played with two midfielders. Carrick plays with three. So he's got Bruno and Casemiro, and he needs another midfielder, so Mainoo will start. So the system thing is relevant in one sense. That's not where I'm going with this. I'm talking about centre-back. So under Amrin, we played with three centre-backs. We now play with two. We've now got an abundance of centre-backs. So where's the weakness in the team now? The weakness in the team under Amrim was that if we got centre-back injuries, we need three. We now play with two. We've got a lot of centre-backs. We've got Martinez and Maguire. De Ligt's injured. We've still got Yoro Heaven, and Shaw and Mazraoui can play centre-back. So we're really stacked at centre-back. I don't think there's a case to buy a centre-back in the summer. I think we're absolutely stacked at centre-back. We're weak in the midfield. We were weak in the midfield under Amrim. We're really weak in the midfield now because we play a three. And I sort of agree with you that the striker situation isn't ideal either. We probably do need another striker, but the midfield is the priority, absolutely. Now, this is really interesting. I got sent this by, well, it's an email from someone called Seb, not my Seb. Basically said, "Hi Mark, hope all's well. I saw this interesting statistic online where Casemiro was leading the league in interceptions and possession won per 90. So I've got this graph where it's statistical and it's possession won per 90 against interceptions per 90. And Casemiro is the best in the league for it, which is interesting. Possessions won back per 90 against interceptions per 90. The funny thing is, Ugarte ranks really highly as well. So just all I'm saying is just be very, very careful on how you read statistics, because Declan Rice is quite low down and Ugarte is quite high up. Tyler Adams is there as well, and Andre Santos from Chelsea's there as well. So look, just be very careful when you're looking at stats, because they can be misleading. I mean, Adam Wharton scores terrible, absolutely terrible. Whereas Baleba scores quite well and Elliot Anderson scores quite well. Because you're only comparing two things, interceptions and possessions won per 90. And I think what we're looking for in our midfield is intensity, yes. But we made this mistake with Ugarte. Ugarte did this. Ugarte is brilliant at interceptions and winning the ball back. But is he brilliant for Man United? So you do need to look at passing ability, progressive runs, successful duels. There's a lot more to it than just comparing two things. But look, Casemiro is #1 in the league, apparently, for possessions won and interceptions. Hi, Mark. Would you consider buying Garner in the summer as a second CDM for squad depth, says Hoy. I think it's over with Garner because he's, I think I'm right in saying this, he signed a new contract at Everton. So unlikely to be a player that United go for. Match day today, everyone. Make sure you smash a like on the video. We will keep an eye on this Diomonde story. It's a little bit of an exclusive in the sense that This is the deal United are working on, number one at the moment. Fivel's pushing it, so let's see how it goes over the next few weeks and months. It's from a good source. They've been very good, so we'll have to wait and see. Eric Cartman says, hi Mark, imagine if Ollie came back and McFred was still here. I hope Carrick doesn't do it if he gets the job, but he shouldn't. And do you think Cunha is Bruno's replacement then? Now we're going for Diomande, another left winger, says Folds. I like Cunha. He isn't Bruno. Do you try and replace somebody like for like, or do you try and replace somebody with quality who's different? Cunha's very different to Bruno. Bruno works harder than Cunha. They're different. We could win the league with Cunha in 2 years' time when Bruno's gone. Like, comparing people is really difficult. Cunha's... The biggest criticism of Cunha comparable to Bruno is he doesn't work as hard. There was that ridiculous stat that they told us in the summer that he walks more than anybody else. And I'll watch a watch along and I can see people saying, look at Cunha walking. And I ignore it because I'm a big fan of Cunha. But you look at Bruno Fernandes, he doesn't walk anywhere. So Bruno Fernandes is going to be really difficult to replace. You don't get many players like Bruno Fernandes. I always appreciate that Bruno can have a low score. I always appreciate that Bruno can have a bad game. I always appreciate that Bruno can misplace a pass. But you cannot ever say that his availability, his intensity, his work rate and his distance covered won't be one of the best on the table. And that's beyond his assists and his goals. It's the work rate that he brings to the team. He never stops running. Now, you put Cunha in number 10, he won't run as much as that. So he's irreplaceable, Bruno. So you probably are right to go with Cunha because it's going to have to be something. I wouldn't try. What I'm saying is I wouldn't try and replace Bruno. I don't think you can. I think you've got to become something else, which is why if Cunha becomes the number 10, you better have two midfielders that are relentless runners. I mean, if you had Caicedo and Declan Rice behind Cunha, you'd be absolutely laughing. And I think that's why the midfield recruitment is so important. Now, I don't know when Cunha is going to replace Bruno because Bruno could be here for another 3 years. He might be only here for 3 months. But let's say Bruno leaves in the summer and Cunha becomes the number 10. That could be quite exciting. He could get loads of goals. He could get loads of assists. But he's never going to be as defensively important as Bruno. And he's probably never going to have a fitness record the same as Bruno. So you better bring two midfielders in who are relentless to compensate for that. Because Bruno does make up for some of our defensive deficiencies. I mean, bloody hell, he was playing in the midfield, which is incredible for a number 10. You don't get many number 10s that can play midfield. I didn't like him there, but you know, that's because of his energy. So I think Cunha will be the replacement for Bruno. I don't think we'll need to buy anybody, but hopefully we won't be replacing Bruno for a long time. Shub says, should be a big no on Diomande. We should only go for Premier League proven players, Anderson, Tonali, Rodgers. Work on Leon and Kone development. Most reds for Keane were deliberate, stamps, etc., says Dan Davey. Yeah, but that does, hopefully that... Dan, does that mean that you want to sign Romero? You think we should use Mbeumo as a striker and not a winger forever, says Aditio. No. I actually think... maybe we can do it on an 8 o'clock show. I'm not actually convinced Mbeumo's a great striker. I think he's a good striker, but I personally think he's better on the wing. He's got a lovely cross on him, and you put him on the wing, and you put him up front, and you lose that. I think he's got great creativity as well. So Mbeumo can do a job up front and offers something very different to Sesko, but I actually don't think it should be the long-term plan for Mbeumo. I think Carrick's just doing what an interim does. He's trying to get results. You know, Carrick's got... I'm telling you now, right? If Amorim was in charge or Ten Hag was in charge, the media would be saying it's disgusting that Yoro and Heaven aren't getting any game time. The future, and he's using Maguire. Like, people would be going mad about it. Oh, he's just not used right. But as an interim, you don't need to worry about that. You don't need to worry that Sesko is the future or Yoro and Heaven are the future. You just need to get results. And Mbeumo up front now, I think, is better than Sesko. But long term, I don't think Mbeumo's a striker. I think he's better on the wing. So you need to develop Sesko, and you probably need to bring another striker in. If we win the league in the next 3 years, who gets a statue, says Chris Jackson. Well, I don't think you get a statue for winning the league anyway, mate. I haven't seen a statue for Roy Keane yet, or anyone like that. So I don't think anyone would get a statue, to be honest with you. Wilcox would probably build it himself. Let's be real. Can Xerxes do Bruno's role, says Keel? No. Xerxes gone in the summer. I mean, Ten Hag didn't use him, Amram didn't really use him, and now Carrick doesn't use him. There's not going to be a glow up for Xerxes in this team. He'll be gone in the summer. I think he's just here because we're worried if we get an injury. So, yeah. Penfold says, if we start losing games, do you think Carrick will panic and play 5 at the back to grind out results, similar to what Ollie did? No. Why would you panic in this situation? Liverpool are shit. Even if we lost 3 games, I still think we'd be in the top 5. Well, we're 5 points ahead of Liverpool. I don't think Liverpool are going to catch us anytime soon. I've watched Liverpool on Max Football a lot this season. They're crap. So I don't think we're going to be. We've got to go through the motions. We've got to win tonight. And look, I'm with a lot of you. I just want this win tonight for Manchester United, and the guy can get the haircut and start with the next gimmick. But let's just get this win tonight. Absolutely. Let's get it out of the way, because the man needs to cut his hair and hopefully raise a lot of money for charity. What happened to Malacia? Guy just disappeared. I think he's been sat on the bench, Big Z. I think he's been sat on the bench the last few games. Leon and Amas look promising. They need to get some minutes in the first team pre-season. I really hope, look, as I said, the update on Diomonde is bang on. The update on the left back is bang on. We've got no names for left back at the moment. Now, what worries me about the left back is we all know we need one. But when we're hearing from United that they don't have any names on the list, but they know it's an area to look at, that makes me think about, we've heard this before. We've heard this with positions before. We know it's an area to look at, but we don't really have anyone to look at the moment. So I can see left back being... I'll make an early prediction. I can see left back being this summer's midfielder, where we don't get one, even though we need one. Because if we've got no names on the list and it's approaching mid-February, yet we already are talking about midfielders and Diomande, I can see them going, and we always do this, we never solve all the problems. I can see them going, we'll leave that for now, even though it's an area that we need to do something in. Bruno could stay another 2 seasons under off chance, says Amit. Don't know what that means again. Okay, I'm going to stop the stream. Thanks everybody for watching. I'm going to go and get a cup of tea. I'm on with Terry Hot Takes, aren't I, today? It's Tuesday. So, great show this morning. We'll keep a watching brief on this Diomonde story, but I expect that to keep growing. And don't forget it's match day. Watch along tonight. 3 Points United. Let's go. Take care, everyone. Stay safe. And thanks for a great show this morning. And I will speak to you on the next one. Thank you very much.